Set in Canada, we see the story of two best friends, Katie and Sloane, who seem to be total opposites of each other. Katie being uptight and Sloane daring. We see them being giddy at the prospect of starting a new life after graduation from college. They're excited at the prospect of working at Ecofield Organic Farms, which is located out of town, and have made plans to use their salary for shopping in New York. They're picked up on the next day by Katie's uncle, Jason, who we assume is a cop, to stay with him and his girlfriend Gemma before they're off to go to the next day to the farm. That night, Sloane suggests they come up with fake names to use for their stay in town. Sloane chooses Heather, and Katie decides on Ripley. The next day, Jason takes them to the bus station, and being the extra careful person he is, asks them to pick a safe word, which is to be used in a daily coded text to let him know that they were safe. The safe word was supposed to be changed alphabetically at the end of every text, and after agreeing to Apple as the code of the day, he leaves them. And they, while waiting for the bus, which is expected in an hour, go to the nearest cafe where they catch the attention of two guys who they end up sharing a table with. The girls introduce themselves with their fake names, while the guys introduce themselves as brothers, Jed and Lucas. They then go on to offer the girls a ride to the farm, to which Katie, who was hesitant at first, begrudgingly accepts due to Sloane's silent pleas. But things take an unexpected turn when Jed deliberately passes the farm, and where they're supposed to work, leaving the girls confused, and takes them to their house, where a woman introduced as their mother invites them in for tea. But she seems kinda sketchy to the girls. After receiving a text from her uncle and assuring him of their safety with the safe word, they are served pie and tea by the guy's mother. Despite their suspicions and doubts, they both eat the pie and drink the tea served by the boy's sketchy mother. Right after they take the food, their sight becomes blurry, and they try to make a run for it after noticing that they were drugged. Unfortunately for them, they get caught and knocked out by the men, who carry them into the house. They're seen panicking as soon as they wake up the next day because they're tied up with chains to large containers in the middle of the woods. Jed approaches them and tells them that this is their new living arrangement, and he proceeds to give them basic amenities like soap, a bed, and a toilet. After dressing up, they're introduced to a man named Boris, who's the men's boss and who owns a sex exploitation ring. He proceeds to check their phones in case they had someone who was worried about their whereabouts. In the process, he realizes that they aren't who they claimed to be, and sees a message from Katie's uncle, which he makes the mistake of sending Katie's uncle a follow-up text with Apple as the safe code, which the girls refuse to reveal to him. Had to be changed daily. He instructs the men to prepare the girls, and they do so by having them take a shower with a makeshift shower outside. Mid-shower, the town's sheriff, Sheriff Andrews, comes with his gun out, and the girls run to him in hopes of him saving them. Unknown to the unsuspecting girls, his entrance was just an act, which he later reveals with a laugh and proceeds to rape Katie. Though a man of the law, he's seen to have no regard for the law in cases like this, as we see how much he traumatized Katie, who's left crying in her container till Sloane comes to comfort her. On the other end of town, Jason notices that something's wrong due to the repeat of the safe word, and informs his girlfriend about his fears. Back in the woods, another customer is being introduced by Jed and Lucas, and he proceeds to pick Sloane, and unsurprisingly reveals a psycho side by burning her with a cigarette in the trailer before the screen goes black. Uncle Jason, who's still in his house, is seen making a call to the Eco-Organic Field Farms, where the girls were supposed to be working. But it's revealed that the girls never showed up on the day they were supposed to. This seals the fact that something is up, and the girls are not safe, and he rushes off to go look for them. Things are about to get crazier in the woods, as the next guy who comes in seems to be sketchier than the last, and the girls' heads are both covered. Jed and Lucas are seen turning to cover their faces before he approaches. He's seen wearing a pig mask, and proceeds to pick Sloane into the trailer. We're left unsure of what goes on inside, but we can tell from Sloane's reaction after he leaves that it was more traumatizing than the previous guy, leaving Katie to comfort her. The next scene shows Uncle Jason face to face with the perverted sheriff who we saw assaulting the girls earlier. Here we find out that Jason is not just a mere cop, but an FBI agent. He tells the sheriff that he's convinced that the girls are in trouble, and proceeds to tell him in detail about the daily code. This revelation makes the plot more interesting as the sheriff, being the loyal customer he is, reveals to Boris that Katie's uncle, who's an FBI agent, came looking for the girls. and this was because Katie lied to him about the safe word. Not wanting to be caught up in their trafficking business, Boris gives the men the order to kill and dispose of the girls' bodies by dumping them where they dumped the others. Unknown to the men involved, Katie was eavesdropping. Jason, while doing a personal investigation, goes to the cafe very close to where he dropped them off, and he asks some questions. He asks the barista what he knows, and he proceeds to tell him in clear detail all he remembered of the girls and their encounter with the men, including the type of truck the girls left with. Back in the woods, Katie tells Sloan of the kidnappers' plan to kill them right before the kidnappers come in with the psycho guy, the second customer from earlier, and they leave him to watch the girls. Seeing that they're alone, Katie uses this opportunity to seduce him, and when she gets close enough, she uses her bare teeth to rip out his throat. She proceeds to get the keys from him and uses them to free herself and Sloan from the chains that were used on them. As if on cue, the sheriff arrives in his official car, and it gets stolen by Katie and Sloan shortly after he steps out. Alone in the woods, he comes in contact with the just murdered body while Sloan and Katie, in the spirit of revenge, drive to a hardware store to stock up on ammunition. There, they get the location of Boris's house by asking the cashier using his car as a description. Meanwhile, Jason goes to the insurance company to get more information on the blue truck, as that was the only lead he got from the information given by the barista. At the insurance company, he gives the two old ladies there a cooked-up story of how he hit the truck earlier and needed to know the owner. An unsuspecting Boris arrives home to find the girls have ambushed him as they sneak up on him, throwing up tennis balls spiked with nails, and this injures him seriously. With the tables being turned and Boris being tied to the table, he begins to beg for his life, going as far as offering money to pay them off. Jason pulls up at Boris's home at this point while the girls are seen inside trying to get the identity of the man in the pig mask from Boris. He strongly refuses to reveal it, and the girls shove a makeshift spear up his behind, leaving him struggling for his life. It's safe to say that Jason misses the girls by a whisker as he steps into Boris's house while they step out. As soon as he sees Boris struggling for his life, he hears the sound of a car engine going off, and after storming outside, witnesses the girls' departure in Boris's truck. The next scene shows the sheriff informing Jason about Boris's death, which makes Jason worry more for the girls' safety. As Jason tries to call the girls out of worry, he hears Katie's ringtone from the sheriff, who pulls out his gun, realizing his cover is blown. In the next scene, we see the girls in front of a church. It turns out that the pighead was none other than the town's priest. They go in, and Sloan faces her abuser with Katie's help. They manage to knock out the priest. The girls are seen leaving the church in the car in what seems to be a look of contentment and accomplishment. However, it's revealed when they make a stop that the priest is chained to the car. They proceed to pour gasoline and burn him alive before driving off. Jason is seen being held captive by the sheriff, but what's even worse is that the sheriff has managed to catch 2 more victims. Katie and Sloan, who came to exert their revenge, sees the captives and rescues them before the sheriff could try anything to them by hitting him with a bat over his head. They play Russian roulette with the sheriff when he wakes up, which scares him a lot, making him plea and beg for his life, but Katie shoots his head. The girls free the new victims and ask them to free Jason, who, despite asking the victims of the identity of their saviors, didn't get the answer he needed. Still in the spirit of revenge, the girls are seen at the men's house, where they proceed to drug the men's mother, the same way they were drugged, and they take her to the basement, where they eventually make her watch them bash Jed's head in with a baseball bat. They continue the torture by taking her back up to a tied-up Lucas. They untie him and give him a bat to beat his mother, which he refuses to do, and they proceed to shoot him in the head. They set Lucas's death to look like a suicide, as they already planned to pin all the deaths on him. Seeing this, the mother starts to beg for her life and even offers them money to spare her life, but Katie ends up brutally murdering her with a lawnmower. With their revenge complete, the scene changes, and we can see that some time has passed. Jason pulls up at Katie's house to pick up the girls to take them to the airport for their trip to New York. Here we see Katie's mother in worry as she asks Katie's uncle if she should be worried, and he in turn replies with, "They're smart girls. They'll be fine." Katie and Sloan get dropped off at the airport where they're full of excitement for their upcoming trip, and in their giddiness pass by a man who's seen holding a sign for organic farms. And the movie ends with him greeting 2 women.